Hi, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and today we're going to take a look at a bargain basement budget case. Okay, so today we're going to look at the bargain basement budget case. It's very difficult for me to say, which is the CiT F3 in black and red, which is this one here. Now, when I'm buying a case, I am a complete cheapskate. I want all the features, but I don't want to pay any money for it at all. So this is why for this particular case, I went to Amazon's bargain basement warehouse and had a look and see what used or part used cases they had for sale within a relatively specific budget of around about £20, which I know isn't a lot for a PC case, but for what I'm trying to build, I want to do this on a real budget, a real tight budget. So this is what I came up with. Now, the things I wanted in a case were, firstly, ventilation, secondly, a side panel so I could see what was inside, and thirdly, I wanted all the features I could possibly get for no money whatsoever. So those features include things like a card reader, USB 3, front, rear and top fan mounts for a 120mm fan at a minimum. I also wanted some colour, as you can see by the red splash on the front, but I wanted to make it a themed build. So this is going to be an AMD themed build, and black and red seems to be the colours to go for. So the fans that are included in this case, believe it or not, are red LEDs and match the stripe on the front of the case. AMD being black and red, that seems to be the way to go. Let's have a look at some of the features of the case and see what it can do for you, or do for me in this case. On the front panel, you can see you've got a nice stripe going at the front. I personally like it. Some people may think it's horrible, but hey, I don't care what you think. This is my case. The red theme on the front, to be honest with you, if I don't like it, I can either paint it or put some tape over it. It's not going to be a deal breaker for me, and especially for the £20 or thereabouts price point that I was looking at. The one thing you'll notice about this case, which is common with a lot of modern PC cases, there's no panels on the front to put in a CD-ROM drive or a floppy disk drive. Now, to be honest with you, it's 2017 now. Do you really need either of those? A floppy drive? Definitely no. A CD drive? Well, maybe, but you could buy a USB one. It's not the end of the world. Now, other features that this case has, on the top, you've got a large power on-off button, which actually feels quite well made, especially for the price point. You've got two USB 2 ports. You've got your headphone and microphone port. You've also got a USB 3, and you've also got a recessed reset button, so you're not going to accidentally press it and reset your computer when you're in the middle of an important thing, game, whatever it may be. Also, what you've got in this case is a micro SD and SD card reader, which again, at this price point, is a fantastic addition. The red stripe follows along the top of the case, keeping up with the theme. Also on the top of the case, you've got a grilled ventilation area, which I'll show you more in a minute when we take the top off, or maybe have a look from inside. So top ventilation is pretty much a must these days. Most PCs generate quite a lot of heat, so it's an easy and cheap way of getting heat out of the case. Obviously, convection, heat's going to rise. That's pretty much it from the outside of the case. Let's have a look at the side of the case and what's actually inside the case. Now, as you can see, the side of the case, you've got a acrylic side window, which currently has got a protective coating on. So when you're building the PC, if you put the side panel down, you're not going to scratch it up. So let's take the side panel off and see what we get inside. Now, even though this is a cheap case, it still comes with thumb screws rather than cross-headed screws. I'm a great fan of thumb screws. Now, the side panel, there's not a great deal of flex to it, and it's very lightweight. And in fact, the whole case, as it comes fresh out of the box, is only 3.9 kilos, so it is a lightweight case. Very compact, which is one thing I should have mentioned earlier actually. It only fits micro-ATX, so if you're looking for something ATX, then you're going to have to look at the next part of the range upward from CiT. But if you're going micro-ATX, this is a great case. There's a lot of room inside. Now, if I twist this round, you can see what we get. At the bottom, you've got a drive mounting rail for a 3.5-inch drive. You could probably get two of them in there, but I would say one would probably be better. Two sandwiched together might generate a little bit of heat. Just above there, you've got mounting area for a 2.5-inch drive, so either a laptop style drive or an SSD. Now, moving along the base, you've got a ventilated power supply grill, which also has a washable filter, which again, at this price, is a great addition. At the back, you've got cutouts, so if you've got a high-end cooler and you need to access the motherboard from behind to attach a mounting bracket of some sort, you can get good access to the rear. And also, there's lots of cable management cutouts, so making a nice tidy build in this machine isn't going to be a problem. Now, moving on to the rear of the case, you've got a just slightly larger than 120mm opening, which for some odd reason has an adjustment for the fan to go slightly up and down a little bit. So I'm not quite sure why that is, but maybe when I'm building this case, or building the PC rather, I'll find out if that is useful in any way, shape or form. At the back, the I/O panel cutout is rounded off with a curved metal, and I'm running my fingers along it, and there's no sharp edges, no nasty surprises there. The top of the case, 120mm mounting point for a fan, and you've also got the cable routing for the front mounted I/O. At the front of the case, you've got a large hole to route cables through from if you wanted to put additional fans in the front. You could fit two 120mm fans in there with very little problem, and in fact you could probably get a 120 or 240mm radiator in there with no problems whatsoever. The fan, as I said before, included is a red LED fan, and the fans both come with 3-pin and 4-pin MATX connectors. So if you've got a power supply, you can connect them to the MATX connectors, or if you've got headers on the motherboard you can connect to, you can use those. The choice is yours, both connections are there, which again, at this price point, normally you'd be paying about £8 each for those fans anyway, so that's £16 just for the fans. The case you get for £4 or thereabouts. It's crazy. Also, the wires all tend to be sleeved in black, so if you're making a colour themed build, again, you haven't got the old multi-coloured leads hanging around, which is great. Now, talking of leads, you've got the connections for power, reset, hard drive and other LEDs, HD audio connection, a USB type header for the card reader, your USB 3.0 header, another USB header for the additional 2 USB 2 ports on the top of the case. All nicely sleeved. You can easily tie those out of the way with any of the mounting points there to make a nice tidy build. So let's take the rear panel off. Again, thumb screws. And the rear panel has an indentation of about a centimetre or so. So cable management on this side isn't going to be a problem. So now you can see through the case, and you can see you've got a big cutout for CPU fan backplates. You can route cables through in any of these areas for your hard drives, SATA drives, etc. Doesn't seem to be a cutout pin for running your CPU power to the top, but I guess you could quite easily run it through the CPU hole. So all in all, a pretty good case for, well, at the moment on Amazon in the warehouse deal section they're about £20.79, so I guess that equates to about $25 or thereabouts. And just sort of show you the base of the case. So you can see just here is your removable grille for ventilation. Also on rubber feet, so it's not going to vibrate like crazy, and even though it is a light case, feels quite sturdy, and it does seem to have, in fact actually it's got a lot of rigidity, which is quite surprising at this price point. I know I keep on saying it, but this price point is ridiculously low. I'm just going to see if the top panel is going to come off easily, which I hope it will. There is an easy way. So top panel comes off quite easily, and you see there is the mesh for ventilation, and you've got plenty of room for routing cables, and that is the mount for the 120mm fan. So that is pretty much it. If you want to see what I'm going to do with this case, I'm going to be doing a AMD themed budget bargain basement build. There's a lot of B's. So if you want to follow me and see how I get on with that and see how much it actually costs in the end, click on the subscribe button and you can find out how I'm getting on with it. I've been Mike, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How-Tos. This has been the CiT F3, and we'll see you again in the very next video. Thanks for watching.